Celebrity acne without the Photoshop and filters. Does such evidence even exist? Shockingly, yes, and I'm here to expose it for you. When we look at celebrities, I don't know about you, but I often compared myself to them when I was younger. And I would look at these people with freaking perfect skin and wonder why I could never have that. And then when I joined the modeling industry, I realized, oh, this is all fake. And yes, even celebrities such as Kendall Jenner, who we're going to talk about in a second, have had treatments for their acne, but also Photoshop their acne. And we're talking about a lot of blur. Now, there are some images kind of popping up on the internet of celebrities without the Photoshop and filter, so we can actually see what their real skin looks like. And then there are actually some celebrities, some singers, and some artists that have condemned people for Photoshopping their skin and said, hey, cut it out. I've struggled so much with my appearance that I wish acne positivity and skin normativity or neutrality was something that I had when I was younger, because guess what? Real skin has pores. Texture is normal. Like, what a concept, right? And I wish that I was more exposed to that when I was younger so that maybe I wouldn't feel as bad about it in my older years. But that is why this channel exists. That is why I am here as your acne big sister, to expose these things and kind of bring them to light with you and for you, so that when we do start falling into that trap of comparing ourselves to others, we can hopefully remember this and like take a step back and say, I'm okay just the way I am, and my reflection is going to look very different than someone else's retouch. Flaws can be features, and let's embrace it. So let's start off by looking at some celebrities with acne, and I will actually tell you a personal story about Kendall Jenner. Actually, we're gonna save the Kendall Jenner story for last because sometimes it makes me a little heated. Let's start out with a celebrity who launched a skincare line, Riri. And yes, Riri has acne and texture. Now, Riri hasn't spoken a ton about this experience. There are little things here and there, but if you look at her skin when it's not Photoshopped, there's a lot of texture. You see blemishes on cheeks, etc. And a few years ago, she posted a photo on Instagram with a nice little pimple just chilling on her chin. And someone actually said, like, let me pop it for you. She responded with, can't you just let it have its moment? Like, let it shine. Basically saying it's okay to have pimples and it's a normal thing. Now, when the Fenty skin line came out, I was a little disappointed because you could see a little bit of Photoshop there. Like, obviously there's a telephoto camera that's being used to blur the skin. There's great lighting, there's editing. However, there is a model that's on their website who does have texture and scars, and that was not edited out. That was appreciated in the marketing of the, makeup side and the beauty side and skincare side of the brand. Now, I haven't seen a ton of photos of Riri with like really bad cystic acne. I don't know if that's ever something that she's struggled with. However, you do see photos of her with texture. Now, when you compare that to the ones of her where she doesn't have texture, the photo editing these days is so good that it looks like skin. But I love that she's been a little bit more open about it, and like, this is a reminder that even if it looks like you have the most flawless skin, natural normal skin has texture. And yes, we can look at Riri's textured skin and say that is flawless, because texture doesn't have to be a flaw. And another person who really stood up and spoke about this is somebody who, I don't want to say attacked a photographer on Twitter, but kind of made a statement. But before we even talk about her, let's talk about Ruby Rose. So Ruby Rose is someone that I've obviously always thought is super attractive because, I mean, look at her. She's done campaigns with Urban Decay. She's done a ton of campaigns. She's been on the covers of magazines, and she always looks freaking flawless. And if you don't know what to look for, you'll think that this is real skin. Well, Ruby Rose has opened up about going to the dermatologist and showing that for a period of time in her life, on one side of her face, she had some big breakouts. It sounds like she went to a dermatologist. They said it could have been that this is the side that she uses her phone on, or that she needs to wash her pillowcase more. I don't know if there were any follow-ups on that, but to see someone who actually struggles with acne, and these are whiteheads, these are pustules, who also can look this flawless in a magazine, just shows us that there's a lot of image manipulation that's going on here. And I'm very grateful that even if it's like the black and white filter, Ruby Rose has opted to open up about her skin and about what she has gone through with that. Even Justin Bieber also, he has actually struggled with acne, and I understand that he did like a proactive deal, and we were all like, Justin Bieber, acne, proactive, what? But if you actually look at some photos from a couple years ago, there are photos that got out of him having completely normal, completely understandable forehead and like upper cheek acne. And again, this is a normal thing, especially if you are under stress, especially if you don't have a skincare routine that works for you, especially if you have genetic predispositions to more oily skin and acne. This stuff happens. Now, recently, he's actually gone onto Instagram and he snapped a photo with relatively clear skin, crediting Hailey Bieber. I didn't even know they were married until I did that reaction. reaction video. But Haley seems so sweet. She seems so knowledgeable about skincare, and I do wonder if she's been helping Justin with his skincare routine. And again, the goal of a good skincare routine, in my personal opinion, is not to eradicate imperfections, right? It's about hygiene, it's about a choice, not a chore, and it's about embracing our skin so that we have fun understanding it and caring for it and loving it. And if we can work on some of those things that we perceive as flaws or that we don't like, that is okay. But remember that our flaws can be our features. And Justin Bieber's skin has obviously changed from when he was younger, but the fact that we actually see images of him with acne is really freaking nice. And fun fact, I actually got reconnected with someone who used to work at Proactive. And I even said to her, we were doing a podcast, which I'll link to if you want to listen to it. But I was like, Jamie, do you want to expose the industry for me? And she might be open to it. She worked with some of these celebrities like Justin Bieber and Kendall Jenner, who we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, she has some insights on, you know, how that all worked behind the scenes and what that was like, which I was very, very curious to pick her brain on. And even the Justin Bieber, I don't feel like he's ever really spoken about acne positivity. That person on Twitter who went off at a photographer has, and that would be Lorde. Does anyone remember when she actually tweeted these photos of her from the same day, same event, side by side, saying, wow, look at this, one of them's photoshopped, and on the other you can clearly see my acne. Don't photoshop my acne, like f off my face. And how cool was it, especially at that time when acne positivity and like normalizing skin was not a huge conversation yet in mainstream media. I mean, it's still not, but we're getting there. But she was basically like, hey, I've got acne and that's okay. Like, don't Photoshop it off of me. Lorde has a couple of other photos with acne, but there's not like a ton of them. I've seen some with some texture, and I do wonder if she's actually struggled with some cystic acne. You know, it's not my place to speculate. And again, that doesn't make her less of a person or more flawed. It doesn't mean she needs to fix it. But it's like, how cool is it to see someone in the public eye who says, hey, I've got this skin condition. Guess what? It's normal. I have acne and that is okay. Like, where was that when I was 16? Even more recently, Cardi B spoke about some acne that she has on her cheeks. We actually did a little video talking about some skincare products she could use. What I was really happy about is that after she posted that tweet, a lot of amazing people, especially those in LA like Nye, came to speak to her and maybe even help her out. If that actually happened, I would love to see a follow-up, or like what she feels about her skin now, how it looks, or just how she perceives it or what she's learned about it. But even Cardi B, like we see her in magazines, in photos, in music videos, in these outfits. And a lot of people don't even realize like you can manipulate video to blur skin. And for a lot of celebrities, that's what's done. And the fact that Cardi B has opened up about her skin and said like, hey, I have this, I'm choosing to treat it. It's really cool to see. And you know, you don't see that kind of stuff on an album cover, unfortunately. Bella Thorne is also someone who I didn't know has acne. I don't know if she still has it. I really don't know who she is, other than she and Tana Mojo Jojo did stuff that upset the internet. She has washed her face with some very questionable things, and I don't want to blame a person for causing their own acne because, you know, acne is multifactorial. The pathogenesis of how it happens comes from many things. But the routine that she has posted on the internet, I'd venture to say it wouldn't help. But again, just because you have acne doesn't mean you need to fix it. Now, some of the images that we see, she's actually talking about acne positivity, and she's like, this is my skin. I break out, it happens. And regardless of what you think of her as a person or what other pre-existing ideas have been formed, I don't really know her. I haven't formed an opinion on her because I don't know what she has or hasn't done. But I look at her face and I look at the caption that she posts along with that, and I'm like, yes, let's stand up for the fact that real skin is normal. Do I support or endorse her skincare choices? No, but you know, different strokes for different folks, I guess. People are gonna do what they want to do, even if it's not something that I would recommend. But again, what I would recommend is literally my opinion, and someone else doesn't have to take it, right? And the fact that she's open about her acne and her blemishes, like when you compare this to, you know, what she's photoshopped in like a TV commercial or like magazine ad, it is very different. And I do wish that traditional media would show us a little bit more of this. And you know that we couldn't talk about celebrity acne if we didn't talk about a Kardashian. And yes, we're talking about Kendall Jenner. I actually have a personal story. I used to work with someone who thankfully I don't work with anymore, who told me some very personal details about Kendall Jenner's health and about her medical stuff, which again, not my place or responsibility or obligation to discuss or disclose. Someone's personal medical details should be kept to themselves. The only things that I'm going to be speaking about here are things that Kendall has spoken about publicly. But Kendall Jenner for a long time had what this person had told me was really bad acne and hid it for quite a while. Now, this person worked directly with Kendall Jenner, and Kendall Jenner went to the dermatologist and got antibiotics and got, prescriptions and products for her acne. And apparently, even when she was on set and doing photo shoots like this one for Lauryn Hill prom dresses, it was a big problem. And photographers behind the scenes were talking about how they were going to have to Photoshop it out. And that was really interesting because this is kind of before she super blew up as like a model in that, form of her career. And a lot of people were saying like, oh, this is going to hinder her. Now, the good thing is that it didn't, but the bad thing is that this was kind of kept quiet. And when she was mainly struggling with her acne, it wasn't a topic of conversation or of empowerment for others. And if you actually look at the photos from that exact photo shoot, you can see how blurred out the skin is. And this just shows you that the right lens, the right lighting, like you can make things appear a certain way that when standing next to someone, you wouldn't necessarily see. Now, what happened years upon years later is that Kendall actually did start talking about her acne. Photos kind of surfaced of her having a few blemishes and she was coming out. Does anyone remember when she like made that tweet or announcement that like she was coming out with a big secret? And I was sitting here like, oh my God, she's gay, I have a chance. And then she came out with the fact that she was partnering with Proactive and like had acne but doesn't anymore. It's like, okay, well, it wasn't the Proactive that cleared the acne, and she's opened up about that since. And again, it's public knowledge that she's used skincare products, she's seen medical professionals, she's been on specific medications and prescriptions. And yeah, Proactive maybe helped her a little bit, but she had acne and she spoke about it being absolutely horrendous to her self-esteem. And although I don't know exactly how she felt, I cannot empathize with her exactly, I can really sympathize and know what it still feels like, to break out on my face and on my body, and to struggle with my breakouts, especially when I was a model and in the industry. And yes, at times it did hinder what jobs I was able to book and therefore my income that I literally had to use to live off of, which is terrifying. There are a few photos of Kendall Jenner kind of having acne under makeup at like red carpet events, etc. And I wish that these were more prominently featured when there wasn't a brand like Proactive attached to this and like shoving marketing down our throats. But even knowing, that one of these family members from a family that I guess defines American media, would you call it? I don't know, they're like the most famous people on the internet or the most popular beauty people. The fact that yes, even with the resources, the dermatologists, the money, all of the privilege in the world, that they could still go through that. It's refreshing, and I almost wish that we would see more of it so that we don't judge ourselves as harshly. And again, even if it's not Kendall, like look at these other people like Lorde who are speaking up and speaking out about this stuff. The acne positivity movement, yes, it started, a decade ago, but it's making slow but steady progress. And the more that we remind ourselves that what we see in photo and yes, even video isn't always reality, the kinder we can be to ourselves. And we can choose to say, okay, I see this photo and I see that it looks perfect and this looks like her skin or their skin or his skin, but maybe that's not reality. Maybe that's lighting and Photoshops and tricks. So when I take my selfie, I'm going to try to remember that what I can do here is going to be very different from that ability. And if I had the lighting, the hair, the makeup, the Photoshop, maybe I would be exactly the same. Maybe we have the same skin. It is okay for skin to have texture. And at the end of the day, that's what I think people should remember. Skin functions to protect you. It keeps bad stuff out and you, the good stuff in. It has pores. It thermoregulates your body temperature. It allows you to touch and feel and sweat, and it stops you from falling apart when you take a shower. Like, our skin is awesome, and there's microbes that live on it and around it, and it's its own ecosystem. It is amazing. And if we can start seeing skin for what it is, as this amazing organ that helps protect our entire body, instead of just this thing that is another source of insecurity for us, we can start to see our flaws as features and really feel better about ourselves, therefore giving ourselves confidence and being able to share our stories or change the world in our own unique ways, because we're out there doing things that actually matter instead of standing here preoccupied in a mirror. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. This is what celebrities look like in magazines, and this is what they look like without that Photoshop. And your skin is phenomenal. It takes care of you, and you should return the favor. So give your skin a compliment today. Always remember to stay hydrated and reapply your sunscreen. And if you want a video on how celebrities lie to us and say, I've never had Botox, but they actually, you know, get neuromodulators injected into their face, you can watch that video right here. Always remember to be beautiful both inside and out, and I cannot wait to see you in this next video. Love you guys. Bye.